For years, I'd been hearing a story about Matchless Amplifier Company treating their speakers with acetone to beat them up. And I was like, what the heck is that all about? Anyway, eventually I got my hands on some throwaway type speakers, or some, whatever you want to call them, speakers didn't care too much about. I figured I should get some acetone, which is sold in the auto body department at most hardware type stores or auto parts places. You'll notice the label says it is extremely flammable, and it is also extremely toxic. You want to use this stuff outdoors or in a carport in a well ventilated area. You don't want to use it indoor at all. You don't want to have an open flame anywhere nearby. All of that kind of stuff. Basically, this stuff is glue solvent. It dissolves glue, and it also dissolves lacquer. So the treatment I tried and hit upon was looking at the dope on these speakers. I was able to take a paintbrush, dip it in acetone. You need a glass container for this, and you want to work with a limited amount at a time, because it gases off extremely quickly and leaps into the air. It evaporates like you wouldn't believe. I usually keep my hand over the jar, wearing rubber gloves, of course, and using a toothbrush, dip it into the acetone, and then scrub the dope on the speaker. Then I use an old rag, and the dope will wipe right off at that point. The dope on these Eminence speakers is a little tougher than the dope on a Celestion. The Celestion stuff comes off right away with one wipe, whereas the Eminence stuff, you need to scrub it a little bit more to get it off. Along the way, I also discovered a second process, which I hadn't anticipated, which was that if you take a brand new speaker that's extremely stiff and tough sounding, if you take some of your acetone and you take a paintbrush and you essentially paint the cone with the acetone all the way around till it's wet, what happens is some sort of process using the acetone removes some of the plasticizers in the paper, and essentially makes the speaker sound like it's been played for a year or two. Takes off some of the hard edges, and interestingly, the tap tone, this one hasn't been treated, this other one has. Hopefully you can hear. The tap tone is much deeper on the speaker that's been treated with acetone. And looking at older speakers, the behavior and the paper consistency of the cone is far more consistent with what you see in older Celestions. So I've been treating a number of drivers with this treatment, and essentially what you find is that the quality, the distortion quality of the speaker, if that's a factor or a descriptive term, becomes less piercing, more mid-range oriented. The tone becomes quote-unquote richer, and there are definitely more overtones. This is great for anyone who's playing traditional rock or classic rock music, blues, anything like that. The jury is still out as to whether or not this would please the metal guys who like speakers to start and stop and instantly react to their playing. The chug guys, they probably prefer the tighter speaker. They definitely prefer the sound of a doped speaker, which rings less on the overtones, on the decay. Speaking of dope, if you have a speaker and you've removed the dope and you go, gee, I wish I put that dope back because I like a speaker with more dope, the correct stuff to use is contact cement that is soluble in acetone. It's in every hardware store. This is what I found at my local store. Again, it's toxic, nasty stuff. It comes with a horrible brush on the lid, so you want to get a better brush. You may want to try diluting it with a little acetone and making a little cap full of this stuff to use on your speaker. And you would paint the edge surround with this stuff to put dope onto a speaker. This is particularly good on vintage speakers that may be fatigued to the point where they're about to tear through or they're about to fail. You can save those speakers that way. Or like I said, if you have an undoped speaker, particularly some of the boutique speakers available these days, and you wish you'd got the doped version, this is how you do it.